talking about Q's talking about after we're done with him, referring to Obama, he'll claim Kenyan citizenship, which I don't know. I have no idea if Obama was scum or not. I know that Hillary Clinton is not a person with a hugely trustworthy record. I'll put it that way. I won't say anything about her, but her record speaks to an easiness with which she approaches liberties toward the truth. We'll put it that way. Barack Obama, I don't know. I mean, that cool that the man has, I kind of think that he's an MK Ultra project, but that, of course, is a joke. But honestly, I mean, the man is a leader. You watch him speak, he's a fucking leader down to the T. I didn't agree with a lot of his policies. I will always claim that the individual mandate with Obamacare is flagrantly unconstitutional and is corporatist. I mean, it's that is what the Nazi agenda was this amalgamation of an empire under which there was a co-ownership, I suppose, a shared interest in basically all corporate entities and the state itself. I mean, there's a problem with telling your citizens that they have to purchase a product under penalty of law and then charging them a fine every tax season for not purchasing this product, when in all likelihood, if they didn't purchase the product, they probably can't afford to pay the fucking tax penalty. The penalty itself is unconstitutional. The mandate itself is unconstitutional. The fact that Obamacare was a gift to insurance companies and medical corporations. There's such a broad spectrum of what people believe in medicine, and the culpability for the medical industry. Now, I'm not saying that doctors are overpaid. Some are, clearly. They're Hollywood-type doctors that are overpaid. But I'm not saying doctors are overpaid. I'm certainly not saying nurses are overpaid, because that just isn't true. They are underpaid dramatically. LPNs, CNAs, you name it. These people that deal with the chaos in a more direct way than the doctors. And they're very underpaid. But it's the corporate entities that increasingly are buying out the smaller competition to a point where man, it's rare to come across an independently owned medical clinic or hospital, something that isn't owned by a giant corporation like Essentia or whomever, and constantly putting up new this and new that. There is, I think that a very simple study should be tracked as to where the money in the whole Obamacare strata, the whole scheme of things, where it came from and where it went. Now, I know that there's the uber right wants to claim that the poor people overuse medical care because they don't have to pay for it. It's free. And that the people with lower income, because they don't have to pay the costs, they abuse the necessity for some of these things. And that makes some sense. It makes sense that if you don't have to worry about what the cost of an ambulance ride is, then you're probably more likely to call an ambulance when maybe someone in the same household could drive you to the hospital. This is not a personal thing. I don't think that this is a personality issue. This is just a matter of, if you don't know that it costs $10,000 to go a mile in an ambulance for no good goddamn reason, it probably would never occur to you that it costs that insane amount of money. Or that an open heart surgery costs $500,000. Now, anybody can say whatever they want about this shit. The fact that, yes, you can pay $8 for a single ibuprofen in the hospital. I'm sorry, I don't believe every single hospital needs an MRI machine. I don't believe that every single hospital needs to be state-of-the-art all the time. That's wasteful. These are not... And you could see it happen when hospitals began looking like corporate buildings. That's when they became corporate entities. That's what they are now. And yes, I do believe that the corporations have been gouging the American people in a way that is treasonous. I could be wrong. Very well could possibly be. I don't have specific facts other than costs to go by, and the fact that wages have not increased anywhere near the cost that healthcare has increased. It's the whole Obamacare topic is ugly, because had you gone with a true universal healthcare system whereby the people of the nation all pool their money into a healthcare fund, well, that's actually the best way to go about it. I won't go into a huge argument right now for it, but I'll say this, because I know that Ben Shapiro listeners will say that socialized medicine is wrong. I don't think so. I think that there is a lot of room for maintaining appropriate wages for the people who have spent, a good portion of their life going to school for medicine, and not costing. I'll just give you a perfect example. Not the last time, but there was a time that I was at the doctor last year for a checkup. I watched the clock. I saw the doctor for 5 minutes. It was actually less than 5 minutes. I dealt with the nurses for another 5 minutes, and I sat in an empty room by myself for 15 minutes. And for this wonderful experience that I had, I was billed a very courteous amount of $280. $280 for what exactly? I didn't get any pills. I didn't get a shot. I had no tests to speak of other than, I took my blood pressure, looked in my throat, listened to my lungs, that kind of shit. Everything you can fit in fucking 5 minutes or less. $280. There are 12 5-minute cycles per hour. $280 times 12. Well, we're talking about $3,000 an hour. I don't see it. I don't think that anybody can justify that to me. People always want the big argument for the increase in healthcare back, I don't know, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. I don't really remember how long, but back when people still gave a shit and still said no when industries would go crazy when it came to their profit margin. Their last explanation that I remember, like I said, it was about 20 years ago, something like that, 15, was the immigrant population they were to blame for the skyrocketing health costs because they would be seen in the ER, and those costs would then have to be covered and absorbed by the remainder of the public, which, again, I think that the costs themselves need to be scrutinized. I do not believe that there should be a zero profit industry, but yes, I believe in socialized medicine because I do not believe that it's a commodity that should be that should go to what we have now. What we have now is disgusting. If, let's say you pay $300 a month for health insurance and you don't ever go to the fucking doctor, and you have a deductible, and the costs of medical treatment are obnoxious. It's insane. I would love for someone to attempt to justify those costs to me, but I don't think it can be done. So I think that medicine is a situation, I believe that people have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But we live in a nation where we are taxed to death. We pay ridiculous amounts in taxes. And for what? For a defense that is so bloated and oversized that we could literally fight the entire world and stand a very good chance of winning. That's retarded. I mean, we have so many nukes we could blow up the world like 70 times. Okay, that's, I'm sure, an exaggeration, but we don't need to be at war. And if you think we need to be at war, you need to see who's profiting from that war. Look into everything that's come out from about the Maverick himself, the fucking Maverick, John McCain. He's the outsider. There's never been more of a defense industry insider in the history of the defense industry. The man, I won't say anything about his motivations, but I will say that he's been playing very nice with giant weapons manufacturers and defense manufacturers for a very long time. Again, I understand the Reagan mantra of peace through strength. I get that, but like I said, we're at a point where we have an arsenal that could destroy the entire world. So it's, with that arsenal, why do we need more every year? Why does our defense budget need to get bigger every year? Why is it that there was... I love bringing up the TR3B.